This is the fairy tale story of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. This classic tale is reimagined with a modern twist on what it means to be fair. Welcome, kids. Today we are listening our third story that is about Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Hope you enjoy listening this Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs story. Once upon a time, there was a princess named Snow White. She was very kind and lived in a pretty village surrounded by big mountains. People loved her because she was not only beautiful but also had a very good heart. But there was a mean lady who was jealous of Snow White. This mean lady wanted to be the most beautiful. So she gave Snow White a special apple that had a bad spell on it. When Snow White took a bite, she fell asleep and could not wake up. Then, 7 little dwarfs who were like friendly, tiny people heard about Snow White. They lived in a cozy house in the forest. Their names were Doc, Grumpy, Happy, Sleepy, Bashful, Sneezy, and Dopey. They wanted to help Snow White, so they went to find her. A brave prince also heard about Snow White and came to help. He kissed Snow White, and the magic spell broke. Snow White woke up and was very happy. The dwarfs were so glad, they danced around. Snow White and the prince became friends and later on, they fell in love. The mean lady could not do bad things anymore and went away. Snow White, the dwarfs, and the prince all became good friends and lived happily together forever. And this story reminds us that love is very powerful and can make everything better. Welcome, kids. Today's we are listening our second story. That is about the Cinderella. Hope you enjoy listening this Cinderella story. One day, news arrived that a royal ball was to be held at the palace. Cinderella's heart fluttered with excitement, but her stepmother forbade her from attending. As she watched them prepare for the ball, tears welled up in her eyes. Suddenly, a shimmering light filled the room, and Cinderella's fairy godmother appeared. With a wave of her wand, she transformed Cinderella's tattered dress into a magnificent gown, and her worn-out shoes into sparkling glass slippers. "Go, my dear, and have a magical time," said the fairy godmother, reminding her that the spell would break at midnight. At the palace, Cinderella captivated everyone, including the prince. As the night slipped away, the clock began to chime midnight. In her haste to leave, Cinderella dropped a glass slipper, determined to find his true love. The prince searched the kingdom until the glass slipper finally fit Cinderella perfectly. They were united, and her stepfamily's cruelty was exposed. Cinderella's kindness and courage had won her a happily ever after, proving that even in the hardest times, goodness shines through, and dreams can come true. And so, every night, children listen to the tale of Cinderella, learning that a kind heart is a treasure beyond compare. Hi kids! Welcome to our channel RH Entertainments. This is our fourth story for our viewers. Hope you like and enjoy listening this story, The Princess and the Frog. Once upon a time, in a land filled with green meadows and colorful flowers, lived a kind princess named Lily. Princess Lily loved to play near a shimmering pond in the royal garden. One sunny day, while chasing butterflies, she saw a little frog sitting by the pond. The frog looked sad. Princess Lily asked, "Why are you sad, little frog?" The frog replied in a tiny voice, "I used to be a prince. But an evil spell turned me into a frog. Only a kind princess's kiss can turn me back." Princess Lily felt sorry for the frog. She picked him up gently and gave him a gentle kiss. Suddenly, the frog transformed into a handsome prince. The spell was broken. The prince thanked Lily for her kindness. They became fast friends and played together every day. As time passed, their friendship grew into something more special. The prince asked Lily to marry him, and she happily agreed. Their wedding was a grand celebration, and everyone in the kingdom rejoiced. And so, Princess Lily and the prince who was once a frog lived happily ever after, ruling the kingdom with love and kindness. And whenever they looked at the shimmering pond, they remembered the magical kiss that had turned a sad frog into a joyful prince and brought two hearts together forever. And have fun, but to always stay safe and be with family. Hi kids. Hope you are fine and enjoy listening our bedtime stories. Now we are here with our fifth story for you, Hansel and Gretel. Once upon a time, in a little cottage in the woods, lived a brother and sister named Hansel and Gretel. They were very small, just like you. One day, their mean stepmother told them, "We don't have enough food. You must go into the woods and find some berries." Hansel and Gretel went into the woods. But they got lost. They walked and walked until they saw a house made of candy. It had a roof made of chocolate and windows made of sugar. Hansel and Gretel were so hungry that they began to nibble on the house. Suddenly, the door opened, and an old woman came out. She looked friendly and said, "Come in, my dears. You can have all the candy you want." Hansel and Gretel went inside, and the old woman gave them lots of candy and delicious food. But, uh-oh! The old woman was actually a wicked witch who wanted to eat them. She locked Hansel in a cage and told Gretel to cook for him. Gretel was very clever. She pretended not to know how to cook, and the witch showed her how. When the witch got impatient and opened the oven to check on Hansel, Gretel pushed her inside and closed the oven door. Hansel and Gretel escaped and found their way home. Their stepmother was gone, and they lived happily ever after with their father. And that's the end of the story. Now, close your eyes and have sweet dreams, just like Hansel and Gretel did after their big adventure in the woods. Good night. Hi kids. Hope you are good and enjoy listening our bedtime stories. This is our 7th story named is The Velveteen Rabbit's Amazing Journey. Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Tommy. Tommy had a special friend, a soft velveteen rabbit, given to him by his grandmother. Tommy loved his rabbit very much. Every night, they snuggled up together, and the rabbit listened to Tommy's bedtime stories. One night, as the moonlight filled the room, the Velveteen Rabbit wondered about becoming real. A magical fairy appeared, promising to make the rabbit real through love from Tommy. From that day on, the Velveteen Rabbit stayed by Tommy's side. He comforted Tommy when he was sad and played with him when he was happy. They even had adventures in the woods. Over time, the Velveteen Rabbit's fur got worn and his eyes lost their sparkle. But he didn't mind because he knew love was making him real. One magical night, Tommy's story about bravery made the rabbit's fur turned into real soft rabbit fur, and his eyes became bright and lively. He was a real rabbit now. Tommy woke up and saw his Velveteen Rabbit had come to life. They hugged each other with joy, and the rabbit was the happiest rabbit ever. Tommy and his Velveteen Rabbit were always together. They had many fun adventures, and the rabbit was never lonely again. He knew love had made him real, and he was the luckiest rabbit in the world. And so, in the warmth of their love and friendship, they lived happily ever after, showing that even ordinary things can become special with the magic of love.
Hi kids! Hope you enjoy our bedtime stories. Now we are back with another bedtime story named is Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Once upon a time, in a little house in the woods, there lived 3 bears: Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear. They were a happy bear family, but one day, they had a surprise. One sunny morning, Mama Bear made some yummy porridge for breakfast. She put 3 bowls on the table to cool. But then, a curious girl with golden hair named Goldilocks came along. Goldilocks saw the porridge and tasted the first bowl. "Too hot," she said. Then she tried the second bowl. "Too cold," she said. But when she tasted the third bowl, she smiled and said, "Just right." She ate it all up. Next, Goldilocks found 3 chairs. She sat in the big one and said, "Too hard." She sat in the medium one and said, "Too soft." But when she sat in Baby Bear's chair, it broke with a creak. Tired from her adventure, Goldilocks went upstairs and found 3 beds. She tried the big one and said, "Too hard." She tried the medium one and said, "Too soft." But when she tried Baby Bear's bed, she said, "Just right." She fell asleep. When the bears came home, they found Goldilocks in Baby Bear's bed. Goldilocks woke up, said sorry, and the bears forgave her. They all became friends and lived happily ever after. The end. Good. Hi kids. How are you? Hope you enjoy our bedtime story. Today we are hearing our new story, The Ugly Duckling Story. Let's start. Once upon a time, on a sunny farm, there was a little duckling. This duckling was different from all the other ducklings. He was gray and awkward, while the others were yellow and cute. The other ducklings laughed at him, and he felt very sad. "I must be ugly," he thought, and tears rolled down his cheeks. One day, the little duckling decided to leave the farm. He waddled away, feeling lonely and lost. He wandered through forests and fields, meeting new friends along the way. But he still felt out of place. As the seasons changed, something amazing happened. The little gray duckling began to change too. His feathers turned white and beautiful. He looked in a pond and saw his reflection. He was no longer an ugly duckling but a magnificent swan. He joined a family of graceful swans, and they all swam together on the sparkling lake. The ugly duckling had become the most beautiful bird of all. And so, dear children, remember that even if you feel different or ugly now, there may come a day when you'll realize your true beauty and shine like a star. Just like the ugly duckling, you are special and unique in your own way. Good night, little ones. Sleep tight, and dream of your own wonderful adventures.